Well, hi everyone, and welcome to, I think is my final video. It's that time. So I'm going to say something that I was going to put at the end of this video and personal share, but for the first time, I've looked at my analytics, my video analytics, and they are not good. So what they say is everyone who watches my videos pretty much stops at about 2-minute mark. So if you could hang in there, if you want to hear more, hang in there. What I'm going to say is if you're familiar with me and you know what I've been doing, then I'm not going to initiate any more videos. But if you're out there and you would like some information, you would like an energy report, you would like something personal in your life, then please contact me, leave a message, and I'll gladly do a video, an oracle session, or whatever, conversation with the sage, anything, channeling, whatever, for that particular topic or for you personally. I am very confident in my level of clarity. It's getting clearer and clearer every day. But it's time for me to no longer initiate videos on all these random topics. Number one, because they're not resonating with people out there, and that's fine. And number two, it's just time. I've gone through in the last week, 2 or 3 weeks, another level of initiations, and it's time to take a break from this exercise. So this whole YouTube adventure, I think it's coming on 2 years now, was simply an exercise for me personally to work out some healing in the throat chakra and all kinds of other types of healings, to letting go of attachments, to you name it. It was an exercise in healing in order to express myself, whatever I wanted to say, whatever I wanted to share, and just get it out there, okay? Regardless if it resonates with people or not. But I have to say, my little ego is feeling a little down. It's really unfortunate. I know what I share is very clear. And as truthful as one can be in this relative world, but perhaps it is not the content, but the person transmitting the content that's not resonating. And that makes me sad too. But no worries, it doesn't matter. This is just a little part of the path in this whole awakening process. So who knows, maybe in a year I'll be back. Who knows? So once again, if you would like a reading, you have a question, you have an illness, an oracle session, whatever, contact me and I'll be glad to either do a personal video or email for you, or I'll do a video here, but I will not initiate another video, I don't think, unless of course the inspiration comes from pure being. And that's a good segue to move into my personal share. So the whole part of this adventure into YouTube land was to share my realistic and practical insights from awakening, the different stages of awakening, the levels and things that you go through, what awakening is not, and also to share my personal experiences throughout this progression of awakenings that I've gone through. And it appears that where I'm at now, or where I was a year ago, the awakening that I had was what is called awakening to no self, or Brahman awareness, Brahman consciousness. It's not consciousness, it's Brahman, which is equivalent to pure being. And what does that mean? When you awaken to no self, it is beyond consciousness. It is the dissolution of it, really kind of any sense of a personal self here. I mean, obviously, there's a sense of a personal self, but it's hard to explain. Can't explain it. You can look it up. Plenty of people talking about it. So it's beyond self-realization. Realization is within the realm of consciousness. It is beyond that realm. It is Brahman, pure being. It is living awareness of the play of consciousness that is happening around you. And what that requires of you is the progressive dissolution of ego aspects of yourself, all these images and attachments that you have of the ego self. And as of last night, another initiation, another 2 parts. One part I had already, it was obvious I already let it go. A real intense, real dream came up, and it was very clear. It was like a horror film kind of dream, where an aspect of myself represented as a male figure, but it was both of these figures. If you're curious about the dream, it was really intense. It was like a horror film, where these 2 male figures were, it was all like dark and cold. It was like those films, horror films out in the woods, and some alien creatures, crazy animals were chasing them. And these 2 figures were being placed on, like, not crosses, but these poles for like sacrifice, and they were tied up. And one was already, I let go, but there was one that I was just like, and everything in the dream is yourself. And it was part of myself that was being sacrificed. Like, it wanted to go. But it still touches me, and I'm having a kind of an emotional release as from this dream. Anyway, so that aspect of myself had to be sacrificed in order to become a much clearer vessel for pure being. We cannot have attachments to ego images, okay? And it's clear to me this morning that it is that aspect of myself that is still looking to be seen, to be recognized. And that is all the ego is. It is something that wants to be seen by others, to be recognized. But on the path of Brahman, pure being, to be living as pure awareness, you have to be willing to be a nobody in order to eventually become the somebody you are meant to be, according to what life, the Tao, pure being wants from you at that time. And every moment is different. So I guess my YouTube self and my need to become somebody has dissolved or is dissolving. I'm telling you, it's very scary. Anyway, I know something more beautiful and wonderful will come out of this, but it's still scary. And it's sad. It's sad to this little ego that it's unfortunate that my messages or insights or revelations or whatever doesn't resonate with people. Anyway, so yes, the last 6 to 8 months since my other previous share has simply been an exercise in stabilizing in awareness. Awareness is the underlying essence of consciousness. It's like if you have a piece of paper with writing on it, the writing is consciousness, is everything in manifestation, and you can awaken into that level. But Brahman or awareness is the paper itself, the background. So stabilization and awareness, these several months, maybe half a year. And I have plenty, like years and years and years to keep going of this. It never stops. Believe me, I in no way think that I've reached any kind of, place. But it's stabilization and awareness, and it's the constant, it's just breaking habits. It's breaking that magnetic pull to get drawn into streams of thought. And I have to say that my mind has gone quite quiet most of the time. It's a beautiful thing. Most of the time. I do enjoy thinking, but I can think without attachment. So it's a constant saying no and kind of reducing that stickiness, right? So that those thoughts, those continued ego thoughts that draw you into emotional upset begin to dissolve, and then they slide away because the magnetic resonance, you no longer resonate with them, and you sit back in awareness. So this is it's a real kind of plateau stage where it's like when you're on a diet and you've kind of reached your goal. Now, how do you live that new life? It has to become a new habit. So living in awareness, my attention now rests more often throughout the day in awareness only. And it's quite a beautiful thing. But you have to be willing to become a nobody, so that it's kind of all over the place as usual. Maybe that's why I don't resonate. What I'm also trying to say is this detachment from thinking, it simultaneously is about embodiment, moving awareness down into the body, into the solar plexus, so that you release this attachment to constant thinking and to making thinking the dominant way of reacting to life, into making your feeling consciousness, the body, be the leader and the authority of the personality. So that's what's going on. My feeling consciousness is coming online. And, kind of proof of that was my last energy report that I wasn't even thinking, wasn't even aware, conscious of this Lionsgate portal that everyone is talking about, and that they were all talking about this beautiful energy, the 0 point energy, and that's exactly what I was feeling. So I trust fully now in my feeling consciousness that awareness has landed, and it's become now, or it is becoming the leader of this personality. So that's kind of parts of the stabilization and the embodiment of Brahman, or awareness, pure being. And then after that, there's levels beyond that called para-Brahman. And I think that's beyond me at this point. I think that's where divinity begins expressing itself through the clear vehicle. And boy, wouldn't I love to be that. Anyway, what else do I want to share? Part of this process, when awakening occurs beyond consciousness, what that also means is that your higher self, which is also an ego, it is your higher ego, but it is still an ego which believes itself to be an individual being that's seeking to create an individual identity. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful, your causal body, your higher self, your soul, all meaning the same thing, same level of awareness, is a beautiful level at which to awaken to, but there is beyond that. And beyond that, when awakening occurs beyond higher self, causal body, the soul, then that aspect of yourself, it's said to break down. And I don't know if it's a literal breaking down. It kind of felt like that for me. And I think in my past personal shares, I've shared what it felt like. It was coming down, more embodying. Well, in the last month, I woke up one day and just simply felt, I woke up and I had this saying, oh, she's here, meaning my higher self had landed, or so that's what it felt like. I have no idea if that's a literal translation, but what I think it is that due to the stabilization in awareness that had occurred, my awareness expanded into or past into the causal body level, higher self level, because each awakening is an expansion of your awareness, right? Because we have all these sheaths or spheres of levels of consciousness of our body, right? That go way out past the higher self or the soul, goes out beyond soul to the Buddhic body, the Atmic body, the monadic body, and into the logoic planes. And it's a progression of your awareness expanding out to those levels. So I can confidently say that my awareness has at least gone past or at the level of higher self, at least. I feel some other levels. I can definitely feel, anyway, so it felt like she had landed, and I said to my teacher, I feel like I have a doppelganger. I could just feel her, and I kind of felt huge, but now it feels like she's gone, like it's gone. And there is a clearer pathway. I can more, let's see, what do I want to say? And I think the awareness at this point has also expanded even a little further. You know, when you're first tapping into higher dimensions, you can feel real heavy, like push at your crown chakra, and you're like, oh, that's a heavy energy, and you can feel it, and it just is quite intense. But as you get used to it and you are aware of that, it becomes less and less as your frequency rises, right? That energy or that level becomes less intense, right? So before Buddhic body and Atmic body, I could really feel the palpability of it. And now I feel it, but it's much less. It's very clear. I feel the levels. And now I can really feel the monadic level awareness. I can tap into that as if it were, it feels like what tapping into my higher self awareness used to feel like. It feels like my home, my go-to at this point. So, and I'm not saying any of this with an egoic, hey, look at me. I'm just sharing with you, these are the progression of awakening, or the progression of, well, I wouldn't use the word ascension, but the evolution of consciousness or awareness or pure being. So this is a really exciting time. It's a little scary. What else? I did, if you ever get the opportunity to, if someone you have a healer that has the ability to take you through your birthing process, I highly recommend that. I was talking to my teacher, and we were talking about stuff, and unbeknownst to me, she led me through the birthing process, and wow, what a trip that was. things came up. It just unbelievable. Very revelatory about the deep, deep imprints that are working within us. But I suspect that you probably can't get there until you've done a lot of clearing work on the outer layers. And this is the area where I'm working in. You know, the last time I shared it, I mentioned something. It was like the areas that I were working on were like the glue and the feathers, and you kind of can't get them off because you're so close to them. But now the areas that are working on and releasing are like within the bone marrow. Like they're so close to you that they've become you. They've become your every motivation for everything you've done in life or acted in life. And for me, going through that birthing process, this shadow energy of, and I'm still working on it, so I'm having an emotional reaction. Through that birthing process, I realized and had ahas about it previously, but this is the level I'm working at, the bone marrow, the very genetic shadow that ran everything, was this sense of, well, I'm not really wanted, and I've lived and functioned through this life with a constant embarrassment, excuse me, and guilt for being me. And it's so deep in the bone marrow, but it's coming out, and this is really good. We have to let that go. Anyway, and I suppose that was the whole reason to go through this exercise of YouTube. I mean, I had no intentions of, trying to monetize it. It's not my personality. It's to kind of help see how that embarrassment of being me was so deeply ingrained, and it's working itself out. But I have to let go of trying to be somebody. Okay. And if I had to say what my desire, my purest desire at this point, is to be living awareness, to be the expression of living awareness. And what that means to me is, waking up every day and seeing where this ocean that's around me, this space, to being relaxed enough and in awareness enough that this space just moves me. It will push me. Pure being will push me where I need to be, what I need to do, and what I need to say when it needs to be said and done. And that's why I say, if you want a video, you're going to have to ask for it. If you'd like some advice, some discernment, you'll have to ask me. Nothing would make me happier to share that with you. But it's no longer up to my ego to make those decisions. Okay? So enough of that. If I do end up making a video, it will be because life asked me to do it. Okay. All right, everybody, take care. And maybe we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.